All right, well, good morning, everyone. If I could have my slides. I'm Patrick Muck from TriHealth in Cincinnati, and I'm here to introduce our 46th president of the Midwestern Vascular Surgical Society, Dr. Bernadette Aulivola. I can't tell you what an honor it is to stand here. I've literally tried since September 8th of 2023 to come up with an appropriate roast, but as you're going to find out, when you have someone like Bernadette, there's just not much that you can roast. She's here today with her family, with Nick, Gia, and Marco, and I ask you all to please stand up right now and be recognized. Other people in Bernadette's life are her sister Michelle, her brother Michael, and there's her mom. And our mom really is probably where this story, and it's going to be a long, impressive story, started. Throughout Bernadette's childhood and all the way up until she left for college, her mom was really the inspiration. She worked throughout Bernadette's childhood and growing up, and she actually was a vascular lab tech at UMass for a while. And as I mentioned, I tried for over a year now and had a heck of a time finding anything. What I did get, and I'm not going to disclose my source, but I was able to get quite a few pictures of Bernadette back in her younger days. And here you can see just an incredibly cute young lady along with her brother and sister, Michelle and Michael, having a heck of a lot of fun. But not all the pictures were that cute. And I find it ironic here that her brother and sister are both missing, so I'm assuming they're on the floor after Bernadette knocked them out. She is, in fact, the middle child. But, what's interesting is that Bernadette has worked her whole life of being nothing but successful. She worked as a cashier, a telemarketer, a babysitter, and a nanny, worked her way through high school, worked her way through college, and it's really an incredible story. Currently, when they go home, when she goes home and visits with her mother and her sister Michelle and brother Michael, they go to the alpaca farm, which I didn't know what this is, but you can read there. An alpaca is similar to a mammal, and they're found typically in the Andes of Peru, Ecuador, and Chile, but they're also in equally exotic central Massachusetts as well, which is where her mom lives. And so they all get together, and I think they call it a Pacu Pelosa, is what they call it. So it's pretty interesting, and it's really cool to learn about her history. Bernadette grew up on Long Island, and then eventually went to Stony Brook here. You can see she finished college in 1993. She was a double major in biology and psychology, and she was summa cum laude, and the highest GPA for anybody who had a double major at that time. Really impressive. She went on then, traveled all the way to WashU, again, working throughout this time period, getting up to med school, and went to WashU because of incredible scholarships and grants that she was given. Again, she's working all the way since the age of 14, making her own way. Mind you, about this time is where I think she lost her accent. My source, who I'm not going to disclose, sitting in the front row here, said at one point she really had a accent like Marissa Tomei from My Cousin Vinny, and she worked pretty hard to eventually get rid of it at WashU. I actually learned that about 14 hours ago, so thank you to my source. So she went on to Rush, as you can see here, did a residency in general surgery with her program director. She then went on to Harvard, which is unbelievable what the people say about her here. You can see here I was able to reach out to many of her program directors and colleagues, and here's Frank Lagerfo saying, when I reached out to him, you can say when he thinks about her, she's got exceptional hands-on surgical talent, plus the judgment and the demeanor to go with it, which I'm assuming all the colleagues here and trainees in Loyola would attest to. I also reached out to Dr. Alan Hamdens, who I think was working with Bernadette throughout the time. And at one point, one of their seniors went on to the Cleveland Clinic to learn endovascular, and you can see here some of the things she said which again I've heard in the past that she walks super fast, gets annoyed when you don't keep up with her, certainly speaks her mind. And then you can see here what he calls the burn rule, where she apparently at one point during an anastomosis did her half, looked at him and said, "You've done enough, I'm going to do your half too." And he calls that the burn rule to this day. I don't know if Bernadette knows that. And then Frank Pompaselli, I reached out to him too, and it was really impressive the things that I got back. Again, to the membership, I tried to do my job and find something to roast, but I came up and failed miserably for you. And you can see here what Frank said, and it's really the last couple sentences there that are quite obvious to all of us in the room. She's a natural-born leader, and really one of the specialties, preeminent upcoming leaders. So with that, at one point she even went and took her talents transatlantic, went over to Italy and did a mini vascular fellowship there. And I'm certain that was nothing but a success for her as well. Eventually, though, as we know, she came to Loyola and has been an unbelievable leader, not only at Loyola, not only in Chicago, Illinois, but not only the Midwest, but really nationally and throughout the world. And here's some of her accomplishments over the years. And you can all read what she's done, being from the program director of the Vascular Fellowship to the co-director of Grand Rounds, the director of the Division of Vascular and Endovascular Therapy, and then ultimately taking on the job as the vice chair for DEI in the Department of Surgery. Really nothing but success year after year. I tried, as I mentioned, I went around the country. I literally went from Stanford to Harvard. I went north, I went south, trying to get folks to really say what they think about Bernadette. Hopefully I was going to get a little nugget that I could perhaps use here today, but this is what I got.
Hi, I'm Isabel Black, and I'd like to congratulate Dr. Bernadette Aulivola for being a great surgeon, teacher, and mom. What a real triple threat.
It's incredible. That's Matt Blecka's daughter. When I asked for some quote about Bernadette, that's what I got back. And so, again, I tried and tried, but then I started to go through her CV thinking I was going to find something. Well, as you can see here, not only at Loyola, as I mentioned, but nationally, just an incredible leader. At one point, serving many roles for the Society of Vascular Surgery, and I think that's why Frank said that she's really one of our preeminent leaders. And you can read here all of her accomplishments, and her CV will take you literally 15, 20 minutes if you're going to try and read through a 40-page document. So I thought, well, perhaps I'll get the trainees. And so Michael Solt helped me out with this one. I thought perhaps I'd get a little nugget here or there, and this is what the trainees
so you're all familiar with Bernadette Aulivola?
Very much so.
And do you have anything to say about her?
Only good things.
All right.
The best nurse for crap out of me.
She's scared. Is she intimidating?
Yeah.
Okay.
Fabulous in her 4-inch heels.
We all want to be her.
Up the 7 flights of stairs during weekend rounds.
Pretty sure I wrote her a card at one point saying that she's my role model. Yeah.
That's good.
Phenomenal technical skills. I mean, we've gone through carotid using a jig, dissecting out like 1 millimeter at a time. But man, we got the job done, and it was perfect.
Okay. How about you, Ashley?
Aulivola has been my mentor for the past 4 years. She's an excellent role model, clinically and surgically just excellent. I would like to be here one day.
Okay. Excellent. All right.
I really would like for her to bring her dogs to her own party. Rocky, I mean, we really miss him.
All right. Cool. All right. So now that her term is ending as president of the Midwestern Vascular, who is the best president? Joe Biden, Bernadette Aulivola, or Donald Trump?
Aulivola, obviously.
Yeah, Aulivola.
Aulivola, hands down.
100% Aulivola.
It's
Whoa! What do you got here?
well, the bald guy. He gave it to me. It's Dr. Aulivola.
All right, no doubt. We've got unanimous vote. In a country divided, Aulivola wins.
So that's impressive. So in fairness, I did reach out to our president, and I thought I'd get his input on what the Loyola folks said.
Folks, you listen to me. Welcome to the Western Vascular Society meeting. And what can I say? Those folks from Loyola are 100% accurate. Dr. Aulivola, unlike me, she has done a great job this year. But wait, let's ask them again after I forgive their student loans.
And, of course, you can't leave somebody who's always got something on his mind. Couldn't leave him
Did
out.
you hear him? I have no idea what he said, and quite honestly, I don't think he does either. We are at the MVSS meeting here in Chicago.
And he wasn't done.
I have words, and everyone knows I have the absolute best words. Well, here they are, JJ and Raghu. You have done a great job making the MVSS great again. Excellent job trying to be like me. Bernadette, you have done an amazing job as the Midwest president. Ross, excellent job with annual meeting program. You deserve a MAGA hat. We all know I would have done an even better job, but overall, solid work. I recommend the MVSS rally later tonight, and don't lose Angela. She is truly amazing.
So I promised I tried. So I reached out to this contingency here. And again, I'm not going to read it all, but you can see what person after person said. This is what Bernadette said. She's given her so many opportunities to lead and show her that there's space in this field for strong, nice, and fun surgeons. I continue to try. Here's Leanne. Can't imagine a better role model on how to be a mom, wife, friend, surgeon. She's truly a unicorn. These people are giving me nothing. And then you can see here Vanita. Vanita has a girl crush on Bernadette. I don't know about that. But if you look down to the right, it says Bernadette is the quintessential quadruple threat super chick. And so I got all this, and I started thinking, well, are we talking about these folks here, the Kardashians? Is this what they're auditioning for? I'm not in charge of that show from Hulu. But I went ahead and sent the pictures along and got this nice response.
Bernadette, if this vascular surgery thing gets old and you get tired of saving lives, then gather Lee, Ann, Vanita, Misty, Dawn, and Erica and join us on Hulu for our next Kardashian season. My sisters and I know you quintessential super chicks would all fit right in.
So if you ever give up surgery, I think you know where you're headed. Just call Kim. So now for this, folks, I wasn't going to get quotes because we all obviously think the world of Bernadette. I mean, honestly, Marco and Gia, your mom is an incredible superstar. Again, not only here locally, not only nationally, but throughout the world. I did reach out to one of the fellows. I thought this gentleman's probably leaving soon. Maybe he'll give me something to work with.
Oh, very familiar. One of the many reasons why I chose to come to Loyola.
Do you have anything to say about her?
Oh, she means business, and patients even know it too. One of my favorite memories is a patient who was standing there, and we went and talked with him, and he said, well, where's Dr. Aulivola? And we're like, well, she'll be coming around later. She's like, good. I knew that she meant business the first time. You know, I was sitting there with the door open, and I heard these heels marching towards the door, and when she peered in, she pointed at me and said, all right, this is our plan. And she lined it out, A, B, and C, and ever since then, I said, she will be my surgeon. And so from that time on, I knew that, you know, I could learn a lot from her. The patients knew it too.
Sounds good. And now her presidential term of the Midwest Vascular is ending. So who's the best president? Donald Trump, Joe Biden, or Bernadette Aulivola?
Bernadette Aulivola, any day. Please run for presidency. I would pick you over any of them any day.
All right. Your talk is over now.
Thank you.
So, and also got this, for the OR nurse, and this kind of goes with the theme of somebody who's just incredibly accomplished, driven, no business, and you can see here, or all business, and you can see here what the OR nurses thought about her. So then ultimately, kind of makes me think of this, Gia and Marco, this is kind of what we think of your mother, and I don't know if you know the story, but a few years ago, this became public, and Dr. Bill Marston is one of our colleagues. He's a good friend of mine at UNC Vascular, and his grandfather actually in 1941 came up and put Wonder Woman in comic books. And at that time, it was, you're talking World War II, and he did it because he was a renowned psychologist, and he honestly thought that women were more truthful, they had superior cognitive abilities, they're someday going to obviously rule the world. And they were better suited for leadership roles in business, government, and law. And I have 3 daughters, and I absolutely believe in this. And I think we need to add vascular surgical societies to that list. So ultimately, I'm sorry. JJ sure takes a beating in that, doesn't he? So again, I tried and I tried, but at the end of the day, I failed miserably. I think the young kids like Marco and Gia say your mom's too bougie for me, I think. Perhaps that's how you say that. But you can see her influence as a mother, daughter, wife, surgeon, teacher, etc. And it's just amazing that what she's done and what she's taken her career to new heights. But I do want to remind you that this is not the only thing she's taken to new heights. And she's taken her hair as well. And I promised I would not reveal my sources, but I do know I forgot to tell Nick thank you. So thanks for these pictures. And then ultimately, these two, I think, of anybody in the world, know Bernadette the best. And they had a short little message as well.
My name is Juju. My mom's job is a vascular surgeon, and I think that she works on carotid arteries. I would like to introduce the 47th president of the Midwest Vascular Surgery Society, my mom, Dr. Aulivola. Bernadette Aulivola. Oops.
The only problem there was I completely led Gia astray. I owe her an apology because I forgot to do my math with Kelly Brown, who did the presidency during COVID for 2 years. And it's not the 47th, but the 46th. So Gia, my apologies. But fortunately, my BFF right here came through.
My name is Marco Giusto, and my mom's a vascular surgeon. She fixes people's exploding aortas and arteries at work. And I'm super proud of her because she helps and saves people every day. I would like to introduce the 46th president of the Midwest Vascular Surgery Society, my mom, Dr. Bernadette Aulivola.
So without further ado, I introduce our 46th president of the Midwestern Vascular Surgical Society, Dr. Bernadette Aulivola.
Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so first of all, you took way too long for that. You could have cut out the hair photos. And that leaves me with not much time for my talk. And now I've forgotten everything I was about to say because of the emotion that I feel with that introduction. So sincerely, thank you for everyone in the room. Thank you for the honor of serving as the 46th president of this organization. When I was reflecting on the topic or the focus of my talk, I really felt like I needed to speak about something that I feel just so tied to, and that's investing in the future of vascular surgery. And what I mean by that is investing in the people of vascular surgery, in the people who are learning about vascular surgery and the people who are progressing through their careers. And I've invested a lot of my energy in mentoring the people who I have worked alongside. This society basically exists for all of you in the room, not vice versa. Although we ask you to do some work for us, the purpose of this organization is really to serve as a resource for the vascular surgeons, the students, the future surgeons, all of us, and primarily that impacts those patients that entrust us with their life and limb every day. So this organization, as I am, I've seen over the years is vested in the future of vascular surgery. Sorry, I got to figure out where the clicker is. I'm so emotional right now. When I returned to the Midwest after training in Boston, one of the first things that I did was to join the Midwest Vascular Surgical Society. It was 2005. I had spent 6 months training in Italy, and I came here as my first job. And this is a picture of my certificate, which still sits in my office, signed by the president at the time, Peter Glavitsky, and one of my mentors, Walter McCarthy. But it was really this organization that gave me my first steps in learning about leadership and in serving the community of vascular surgeons. I was 3 years into my practice at Loyola when I volunteered. They were looking for someone to help out with something called the Ad Hoc Vascular Web Advisory Committee, and I thought, I don't know what that is, but I'm going to volunteer for it. And essentially what it was focusing on the public-facing website of the Midwest Vascular and trying to do a better job of communicating with the public and with our members about what the society was doing. At the time, that was sort of a spoke of a hub that was based at the SVS Vascular Web. So I did that for 3 years, but I distinctly remember working with the chair of that committee, Joe Schneider, who it was my first opportunity to work with a more senior member of an organization and just sort of absorb, his leadership skills. And I spent 3 years on that committee, and I must have done a good job, because after that they assigned me the webmaster of the Midwest Vascular. I thought that sounded like a pretty cool job. So there was 3 years of service in there, again, focusing on the website. But I feel like that opportunity early in my career, I see that we do that now for trainees. I never had the opportunity as a trainee to get involved in organizational work, but it was sort of a stepping stone to other opportunities within the society and outside of that. And that led to a bunch of other committee roles that I served before being appointed a counselor of the organization, and here I am now. So I don't think I would have really thought 20 years ago when I joined the society that I'd be A, still at Loyola University, and B, the president of this organization. We have very few opportunities to stand in front of a bunch of people and thank those who have invested in us. And obviously, I need to point out the three individuals in the front row here. My husband, Nick, Dr. Nick Justo, my daughter, Gia, who is 12, and my son, Marco, who's 14. These pictures just demonstrate some of the things that I do to decompress. Traveling with my family is one of the things that I'm always focused on and allows me to sort of dream about that next trip to Sicily or wherever. And so we enjoy traveling together. I'd like to give a lot of credit to my husband. You didn't really hear the story about how we met, and we met in the operating room. It was very romantic. It was in the ambulatory surgery center. I was doing a varicose vein case, and he was assigned to my case. He was finishing up his residency when I started my faculty position at Loyola. I need to credit another member of the Midwest Vascular, Dr. Jaron Rodriguez, who we joke is our man of honor. He was, before Northwestern, he was one of my partners at Loyola, and I wound up chatting with him at the office. I said, there's this cute guy, I think he's an anesthesia resident, can you find out more information about him? So Jaron went on a stealth mission, which resulted in setting up our first date, and so I have to give him some credit for that. So that sounds all bright and sunny, but our first date basically equaled us going out to an Italian restaurant because we're Italian and that's what we do. As we sat down and we ordered, I got a page and I said, I got to get this. It was a family member of a patient. I stepped outside and I, took the call, and when I came back in, Nick had my entire meal packaged up in a to-go bag. That's how long I was gone, so it didn't go very well. But fortunately, 17 years later, we are married and we have these two wonderful kids. I want to recognize Nick's sacrifices. He grew up in Arizona, and his lifelong dream was to return there. And he had planned to return there before meeting me. He had signed a job contract. So him staying in the Midwest was for one reason and one reason only, and that was to invest in my career. And so I am grateful for that. Gia, I call my mini-me, and she has spent the most time at work with me in the office. She's come to the podium in our conference room. Those of you at Loyola know the place, and she's given a lecture to, an audience of a stuffed animal while I'm at work on a Saturday. She's had the ability to see her own aorta in the vascular lab there. She was my +1 to my AOA induction ceremony a few years back. That meant a lot to me. I am super proud of her, and sorry if I have to brag a little bit about the things that I'm most proud of. Sorry, vascular surgery, but it's, you know, my family. My daughter is an accomplished gymnast. She transitioned to cheer this past year, and she was able to compete in a national competition in her first year, and I'm real proud of that. She is the caregiver of our family. I like to say, if you cut your finger, she's right there with a Band-Aid, ready to take care of it, not afraid of blood. She loves animals, as you can tell. There are many, many pictures. I have a file in my photo drive that's just her with animals. And she loves to care for animals, especially in the center there, Rocky. So if my residents are here, yes, you can see him. I usually hide him away when people come over because he's crazy. Gia likes to care for injured animals, and with Rocky, there's no shortage of injured bunnies in the backyard. So in the bottom picture there, there's a picture of her holding a bunny that unfortunately had some penetrating trauma. But I am super proud of Gia. She's caring and kind. My son Marco, who's here, is 14. He is a very loving and kind individual. He, as you can tell, he loves fishing, frog hunting. I found frog legs in my refrigerator. I'm not too happy about that. He is very handy. He's built things. He's in the garage building step stools. He whittles tools out of branches. He rebuilds engines on things. And so he is very creative, and he likes to figure things out, so I'm proud of that. He is very mature. When he was a child, he would gravitate toward the old guys, you know, talking about their experience with the war. He's an expert in war history, in muscle cars, and all sorts of things. He has this memory that amazes me. He is also an accomplished athlete. He was, I think, the youngest kid at his Taekwondo school at age 7 to earn a black belt, and he has been involved in multiple different martial arts. And he was just voted a captain of his high school football team. So he just started freshman football, so I'm proud of him as well. As many of you who have families know, we're always balancing different things. So I have been fortunate enough to have a family who gets it, right? I say, I'm going to take care of 3 legs today. They know, okay, that's going to be a long day. We'll see you maybe tomorrow. And they get it. And also my work colleagues get it. They understand that sometimes the balance means I'm going to have to focus on work, or I'm going to have to focus on home. And it's super important for me, for my family, and my work family to be understanding in that. And I'm fortunate to have that. You saw some pictures of my family. My sister is an attorney, so I get all sorts of free law advice. And my brother is a police officer. Unfortunately, I haven't had to have him give me any detailed advice on staying on the right side of the law. Pat mentioned my mom, and you know, I think when I think about how hard I've worked, I paid my way through college and medical school, and much of my focus was just on sort of getting through things independently. But I learned that from a single mom. My parents were divorced when I was 4, and my dad went to a different part of the country, so she raised 3 young kids, and she worked hard. And her getting her RVT actually happened later in life. When we were an adult, I think I was a resident. She went back to college. She never went to college, and she earned a bachelor's degree and began working in the vascular lab at UMass. And my dad is pictured in the middle there, and I admire him for teaching me that sometimes you got to just take a chance. He had cancer a few years back. He underwent chemo and radiation, and when he got through it, he said, you know what, I'm doing something for me. He sold everything. He sold his house. He sold his belongings. He got a mobile home, and for the past 6 years, he's been living his dream, working in the national parks in the U.S. So we've had the opportunity to visit him in Acadia and Yellowstone. If you're at the Old Faithful Lodge, the oldest and largest log cabin in the U.S., he works there in the carpentry shop, and he lives in Yellowstone. So I admire that, taking a chance to just do something that's for you. I have had the luxury of training many fellows over the course of my time at Loyola, and they're listed here, the ones that have trained during the time that I've been there. Super proud of this group. You see some familiar names there. Many have landed in the Midwest, and a handful have landed in the Chicago area. And I will say it makes me truly grateful and proud to have vascular surgeons serving our patient community in Chicago that I really trust. You know, the patients sometimes bounce from place to place. These guys know it across town. And getting a call from a past fellow of mine that they're taking care of a patient, I have the utmost confidence that my patient is in good hands. So you mentioned, Pat, that I was program director, and I don't know if you noticed, but I was program director the third year of my attendingship at Loyola, and I'd like to think I was given that role because I was like this excellent educator, but my third year of faculty position was pretty remarkable because basically every single senior member of my group left, Ross knows, at once. So picture this, you're your third year in practice, you're suddenly the most senior member, and in short order, I think I only had a few months' notice, I became the division director, I became the head of the vascular lab, and I was supposed to figure out how to run a training program and be the program director. And I got to take Q2 call for a whole year with my junior partner, so that was fun. But I bring that up as an example of sometimes we are afforded the opportunity for leadership roles that we know we're not ready for. I was not ready for that. But when I sat down, I thought about it, I'm like, I am either going to sink or swim. And I need to work my hardest to do the best of, making sure this ship is not sinking. And it really gave me the opportunity to, I could have sort of run from that, but I said, I'm going to, see how I can do at this, and gave me the opportunity to demonstrate a skill set that I don't know that I had the confidence of thinking I could do at that point in time. And I feel like while that was a very hard year of my life, I don't really remember it that much. It really was, a good opportunity for me in my career advancement. This is an image of something I'm super proud of because we built the 05 program at Loyola recently. These are full complement of 05 residents. This is the first year that we have had 5 trainees in our 05 program. And a little bit later, I'll talk about the workforce, and we've heard some of that during the talks that we've heard during this meeting, but we all know we're facing a workforce shortage. And I remember hearing about this early in my career and thinking, like, what can we do to get more vascular surgeons out there? And so long before we started the program, we started looking into it. How can we just produce more vascular surgery colleagues? And one obvious one is start up a new training program. And so when we recruited Carlos Bechara to come to our group, this was one of his main missions. And he and Michael Sult worked tirelessly to get funding, to create the infrastructure, to work collaboratively with our general surgery program and everyone else and make it happen. I'm super grateful for the work that they did to create this program. And I'm really proud of our trainees because we have 5 very accomplished, exquisite trainees. And I'd like to recognize also Dr. Paul Crisostomo, who recently became an APD of the program and has spent tireless hours working on curriculum redevelopment and things that benefit our trainees. I also think it's important, and I don't do a good enough job myself day to day in thanking people. I realize that sometimes, I rush in the OR, I'm like, let's get this stuff done. And I should do a better job of that, but I can't emphasize enough how important it is to have nurse colleagues, RVTs, radiology techs, our administrative support, APPs, everyone that helps us take care of our patients. And those people are working super hard, right? They're checking their inboxes from home and they're answering emails at night when I know they shouldn't be working. And they're dedicated to helping us provide patient care. So I provide some images of some of our team. In the top right there is a photo of us recently in my backyard. We have an annual barbecue where we pretty much invite everyone, the medical students who do research with us and everyone. And it's my opportunity to just say thank you. I don't say it enough day to day, and I know that. I get to brag a little bit, too, about our group. When I took on the division director role in 2016, it was 3 of us, Dr. Halandras here, Dr. Crisostomo, and myself, and we had 1 APP at Loyola. And over the past 8 years, we've been able to build a bigger group. And it's not so much the size of the group, but I view every single individual as having a unique role in our group, and it's something that I felt strongly about. I advocate, one person not having all the leadership roles and letting people do what they enjoy doing to help job satisfaction. I hope that's helped. I don't know, my group is here, maybe they could vouch for it. So we've grown our group. We're 8 vascular surgeons. We now have 7 advanced practice providers and cover a 4-hospital system. And each of those individuals is valuable to me. For Dr. Halandras, she is our site director at the VA, and the work that she does there to care for the vets, you could just see her passion in it. Dr. Bashara, I mentioned, built the program, and he has pushed our aortic program forward beyond belief, beyond what I could have hoped for. I'm super sad that Dr. Bashara will be leaving us, but fortunately he's sticking around in town, and he'll be leading his own division at Rush in the upcoming months. So I'm very proud of him. Dr. Blecka, you've seen his students present during the meeting, hopefully, and he has dedicated the time that he's been with our group to education and to research. He's taken on the director position of our research program, and he has pushed things forward, and he is just so passionate about it, and I am grateful for that. And Dr. Gatan was a mentor of mine when we worked together on the board. I actually can take some credit because I was on the recruitment committee that hired her as our department chair, and I'm super grateful for Dr. Gatan's leadership. She is a thoughtful leader who really does the best for the group, takes people's input into consideration, is constantly thinking about everyone, like the big whole, and that's something that I hope that I do as well, and I am thankful for her mentorship of me personally and my division and department over the years. And I should mention that we have a new member of our group coming up. So Dr. Cato from SIU was recently recruited, and I don't know if he's here, but he is moving, and he's starting with us in a few weeks. We've already got his clinics booked, and we're ready to roll. So we're excited to add an additional member to our group. I wanted to pause. Hopefully I've conveyed that mentorship, I think, is important as we progress in our careers, academic or otherwise. It's played a huge role for me personally, and I'm going to share a little bit about my mentors, but I also just want to recognize the benefits of mentorship in general. We know that if we engage medical students early, because the pipeline is super early, that medical students have a higher likelihood of applying to surgical residency if they see that early. The one study that took a look at general surgery residents found that about 2/3 of them identify certain qualities within their mentor that make them choose that mentor's specialty. And those are based on the skills and achievements of that mentor, but also the mentor just talking about what they do passionately, right? And so we should talk about what we do. What else drives medical students' decisions to pursue a career in vascular surgery? This is from a publication from the senior author was Bridget Smith, who just relocated to Madison. And it looked at all these overlapping factors that impact a medical student's decision to pursue a career in vascular surgery. And there's so many. Mentorship is a huge component of that. But experiential learning, right, getting your hands on stuff, the intellectual challenge, the mentorship is a key component there as well. Jason Lee and colleagues at Stanford did a nice little study where they looked at the impact of a skills program on medical students, preclinical medical students. So they took students who were in their first years of medical school. They studied over 50 students. They put them through an 8-week course of skills. And of course, they found that the students' technical skills got better, but importantly, the strength of their interest in procedural specialties and in vascular surgery specifically increased throughout the course of that simulation over 8 weeks, and that was a durable result. And so they demonstrated that the investment that we make in programs like the ones we have here for our medical students are good investments. 90% of the students that participated in this particular simulation skill session attributed their interest in this procedural specialties to the actual technical part, just getting their hands on stuff, and 70% linked their increased interest to just the mentorship that happens while those skills are, in the works. I attended Washington University, and I'd love to say that the vascular group there had some impact on my career, but they didn't, because I didn't rotate on vascular. But I do think it's important, sometimes I have a student I'm like, yeah, they're going to drink the vascular Kool-Aid, and then they decide to do, some other specialty that's not as good. And that's always disappointing, but I would say it's important for us to just mentor in general. My mentors at WashU were hepatobiliary and transplant surgeons. Dr. Mark Callery, Stephen Strasberg, and Nat Soper were three surgeons that I distinctly remember supporting my decision to consider a career in surgery. And I can tell you that there are multiples of the number of people here that told me I shouldn't do it as a medical student. And so I appreciate that support that they gave me. Pat mentioned WashU. I have a soft space in my heart because WashU gave me a ton of need-based scholarships, and ultimately that's the reason I went there, since I was paying my way through med school. So I was so fortunate to have that investment. I did my general surgery training at Rush in Cook County. I had the opportunity to mainly work with Dr. McCarthy, Dr. Keene, and Piano. I can't tell you what great mentors they were. I was not thinking about vascular surgery until about my third year of residency, and sort of the enthusiasm that these three individuals had just sort of emanated and poured out. Dr. McCarthy, he was one of the presidents of this organization, and I know many of you know him, is just the ultimate professional, so calm and cool and collected, and I thought, wow, I want to be able to do that, right? There was nothing that could ruffle his feathers, and the degree of professionalism that he demonstrated was something that I would aspire to. At Cook County, I was the last general surgery class to train at the old Cook County. It was quite an adventure. Richard Keene and Giancarlo Piano were the two faculty that I worked with the most there, and we lost Dr. Piano to COVID during the pandemic. Both of these doctors taught me that when someone needs your help, you help them. I remember distinctly a situation where our general surgery trainees were sort of complaining about these useless consults that you get. You're like, that's not a vascular surgery problem. We were consulted to put all the lines in for the medicine team. And I distinctly remember Dr. Keene saying, a consult is a call for help. Someone needs your help, you help them, and then you can question it later, but do the work. Don't ask questions. And I think of that to this day because we all get those useless consults. But they also demonstrated work ethic. They were just hardworking. They loved what they did. It was all open surgery. And it was an incredible experience. And they were such good mentors that of my graduating class of 8 residents, 4 of us matched into vascular surgery that year. So 50% is pretty good. Dr. Joe Bahunko, who trained at Northwestern, Chad Jacobs, who's at Lutheran in town, Irene Goldstein, and myself. I did train at Beth Israel Deaconess. I have to say, I had a warm, fuzzy feeling during that talk earlier about the pedal bypasses because I love them. And that was because of the mentorship that I had at BI Deaconess. We did a ton of distal revascularization. My mentorship was super strong. When I started there was really only one faculty member that did any endovascular stuff. This was right at that period of time where we were starting to learn it. And that was Sherry Scoville, who had trained at the Cleveland Clinic and just came in like a storm and sort of whipped everyone into endovascular shape there. But I learned about the importance of attention to detail, the difference between that perfect stitch and that stitch that's just like a millimeter too deep that catches the back wall, right? The difference between something that goes great, someone who's got a pedal bypass that's working 10 years later, and hours of misery trying to get some graft declotted. So I am thankful for that. This society has been an organization that I have really admired for its inclusivity, its focus on the membership, its constant moves to improve and change. And I want to talk a little bit about the history of the organization. It was established in 1976 by three surgeons pictured here, Dr. John Bergen from Northwestern, Emmerich Zalagi from Henry Ford, and one of his mentees, John or Jack Pfeiffer from Providence Hospital. And the three of them came together to basically develop a venue like this for people in the Midwestern states to come together. And it was designed for vascular surgeons at the time, so I feel like we've changed quite a bit over the years. They held their first meeting in the spring of 1977 at the Drake Hotel in Chicago, and at the time there were 67 members of the organization, all vascular surgeons. In 1981, they decided to make a commitment to basic science research in honor of Charles Guthrie, and we just awarded that award, so that has carried on. And in 1984, Dr. Bergen was the president of the SVS, and he decided, or maybe somehow it was decided, that the Midwest Vascular would align with JVS, and that was when we started to publish selected works that were presented here in the JVS, and his presidential address for the SVS was published at that same time. In 2000, marked the only ever, I'm pretty sure, meeting outside of the Midwest. They decided let's have this Midwest meeting in the Midwest to help attendance. So in 2000, it was a millennium, right? We all thought either the world was going to explode or something great was going to happen. So the Midwest Vascular held a meeting in Scottsdale that year, and I thought that sounded like a great idea until I talked to someone last night at our past president's dinner who told me that it was horrible. No one showed up to it. There were 60 some odd attendees. The following year was the 25th anniversary of this organization, so a big gala was planned, and it was a celebration, and they established a past president's dinner. The meeting was scheduled for 10 days after the events on 9/11 that year. And so there was some discussion about canceling the meeting, but it happened, and this is a photo of that group of 20 of the first 25 presidents. And that past president's dinner still happens. We had it last night. A lot of evolution since then. We established some other awards for Venus paper. In 2005, Dr. Zalagi, who was in his 90s, came to the meeting and bestowed the first Zalagi Award. And then we skip forward a little bit. In 2010, I had to credit Raghu here because I have a distinct memory around that time of him showing up to a meeting with this massive binder of all these cases and pictures, and he's like, I have this great idea about a mock orals that we're going to do. This is going to be awesome. He put a ton of work into it, getting faculty volunteers and honing that to create basically a benefit to the membership to allow the young surgeons who are prepping for their boards to get a trial run before taking their certifying exam. And so that was developed, and hopefully to illustrate the changes that the Midwest Vascular has made based on the needs of things. It converted to a virtual platform during the pandemic, and this past year we held 2 mock orals, so hopefully many of you in the room have benefited from that. In 2019, this was an important year for me personally because I finally saw a woman as a leader of this organization. It was the 43rd annual meeting, and Jean Starr from the Ohio State University served as our president that year. And that meant a lot, I think, to see the inclusivity of the organization. I think it also reflected the changing demographic of the society and the specialty. In 2021, this is a lot of change after the pandemic, obviously, but we tried to figure out ways of delivering educational content outside of this meeting. It used to be you came to this meeting, you got the education, and then it was, see you next year. But we developed a New Horizons webinar series delivering content throughout the course of the year. And so that has continued on with 3 or 4 webinars per year. In 2023, we developed an APP program at the annual meeting, and that happened this morning. This year, we have 761 members, and the number keeps changing, so it's hard to keep track of. So just think of the trajectory of that. But importantly, We've changed from a society of vascular surgeons to a society of vascular surgeons, trainees, medical students, advanced practice providers, and we've responded to the need of the membership. I hope you will come back in 2 years to the Drake Hotel to celebrate our 50th anniversary. The Midwest Vascular, for me, is like coming home to family. I see friendly faces. I see people who are collaborative and welcoming, and I really enjoy this meeting. It's an opportunity that my own group has to get together. I get to hang with past presidents and spend some social time with my trainees. I get to hang out with social media gurus and develop collaborative efforts. And I get to meet people who have this bright enthusiasm for vascular surgery. So it's always a pleasure for me to meet new students and trainees. I do need to recognize the officers of the organization, right? Like I depend on the rest of this group this past year to guide the organization. And so I want to recognize the officers pictured here for all of their contributions. And Angela for all that she does to keep this society together. Each member of our committees is working tirelessly, right? They're taking time away from their practice, they're taking time away from their families to put effort into what I consider as an investment for the future of vascular surgery. So I want to recognize the chairs and vice chairs of our societies for their hard work. In my mission earlier in the year, probably the one sentence that I felt like really spoke the most was a focus on inclusivity and mentorship and educational support. And that was most important to me. In the realm of inclusivity, we developed a DEI committee in 2022, and I was asked to chair that for its first year. During that year, we established some of the things that we've talked about already today, a diversity scholarship, a disparities award, and the work of the current chairs of the committee is extremely valuable. Why do I care about that, or why do we, why the focus on disparities and diversity? A lot of it translates to the patient care, right? So Healthy People 2020 is a federal framework for public health initiatives that has sort of set out pretty clearly what health disparities are as a type of difference in health that's closely linked with things like economic or social or environmental disadvantage. There are so many areas of health disparities. I don't have the time to go through each one today. We've heard a lot of presentations focused on it, but suffice it to say that this work is important, and it's one of the reasons that this organization has invested in research focused on health disparities. Inclusivity, we tried to figure out ways of engaging non-vascular surgeons, right? We have an associate membership that allows our APPs and RVTs and others to join the organization and get involved. You may have noticed, to include candidate members, each session has a third moderator. That was something new over the past years, and that allows a candidate member to get up and to learn about and get involved in moderating and the sessions that are happening. There's a ton of educational output from the organization that I'm very proud of, and I think is of huge value to the membership, including the webinar series that I mentioned, the medical student program. There are other programs that I feel like sort of the small environment of this meeting has been a huge asset to the students and the trainees who have the opportunity to be there. We're investing in our membership. We're constantly thinking about ways that we can use our resources to help the members of the organization. You've heard about the travel fellowship, all the awards. Tonight we'll have a poster session, and we'll award a Best Poster Award. A lot of the focus that I feel like is important on recruitment and mentorship has to do with the workforce. And here I want to just mention a work that was presented, I think, here at this meeting by Dr. Go and colleagues that took a look at workforce challenges that we'll have in the upcoming years with the baby boomers, higher rates of vascular disease, and retiring physicians. And so I think it's important that we think of ways to invest in helping to reduce this toll, because it will take a toll. we will be overtaxed in what we do, and we are constantly focused on ways of getting around that, developing new programs. The future workforce in vascular surgery really hinges on training more surgeons as one component of things. And so there's a bit of the history of the vascular surgery workforce here, but one thing I wanted to illustrate is the huge number of programs that have started up in the past few years. Between 2019 and 2022, there are 28 new training programs in the U.S. So this will help us address the workforce issue. We do our part too. I want to give some credit to Anna Marjan, who was one of our Stritch School of Medicine students. She was the first student to come from our School of Medicine that was expressed an interest and that applied and that matched into vascular at the University of Iowa. And she came to me one day and said, I heard about this thing called a VSIG, why don't we develop one? And it was her brainchild, and we worked together to develop a way of bringing medical students from medical school into, learning about vascular disease. And so we have, they have the ability to show up at any clinic, sign up and shadow in the OR. We have a bunch of health screening events. They go to the YMCA and do ABIs. We have a women's cardiovascular screening event that they have been involved in. So it is one way that we have focused on doing our part in getting interested medical students. And we have been successful in recruiting. I know a number of individuals are here in the audience or have been here at the meeting, and I am proud to have played any role in your being a colleague of mine. And we have 2 students applying this year, if you're looking. Okay. I think Match Day is actually more exciting for me than our students. I don't know if they know that, because I'm like, wow, we've been working on this for years, and I'm always excited to see. It was a real pleasure to see David Lazinski present at the New Horizons session, and to see him from a junior medical student to that point, it really makes me very proud. So what do I mean when I say let's invest in the future of vascular surgery? Because we need everyone in the room to help with that. And so by that I mean mentor, look around you and offer your expertise. At every level that we're at, we have some expertise that's higher than the person more junior to that. So mentor and be mentored. It's really important in recruitment and retention and advancement professionally. It depends on that. Invest in professional development. Do this for yourself. Take the time to do that for yourself, and take the time to do that for your colleagues and others. And please contribute to societies like this that really exist for you to make this a better specialty. So the success of our mission really depends upon those of you in the room. So I want to thank you for the opportunity to serve as the president. Thank you, Ross, for supporting this program.